Book of Heaven Volume 2, Call of the Creature to the Order, the Place and the Purpose for which he was created by God, by the servant of God Luisa Piccarreta. Page 23-28. April 23, 1899, The Praises and Scorns of Others. Today I did my meditation on the harm that can come to our souls from the praises that other creatures give us. While I was doing the application to myself, to see whether there was complacency for human praises within me, Jesus came close to me and told me, when a heart is full of the knowledge of self, the praises of men are like sea waves that rise and overflow, but never go out of their boundary. In the same way, human praises yell and shout, they clamor, they get close even to the heart, but in finding it full and well surrounded by the strong walls of the knowledge of self, unable to find a place for themselves, they draw back, causing no damage to the soul. So, this is what you must be careful about, taking the praises and scorns of creatures into no account. April 26, 1899, Souls Who Are Detached. Luisa prays for the healing of a speech defect of her confessor. Today, while my loving Jesus was making himself seen, it seemed to me that he was sending me many flashes of light which penetrated through all of me, when, in one instant, I found myself outside of myself together with him, and the confessor was there. Immediately I prayed my beloved Jesus to give a kiss to the confessor, and to go into his arms for a little while. Jesus was a child. To make me content, immediately he kissed the confessor on his face, but without wanting to detach from me. I remained all afflicted, and I said to him, "My little treasure, my intention was for you to kiss, not his face, but his mouth, so that, touched by your most pure lips, it might be sanctified and strengthened from that weakness. In this way, it will be able to announce your holy word more freely, and to sanctify others. Oh, please. I pray you to make me content." So, Jesus gave him another kiss on his mouth, and then he said, "I am so very pleased with the souls who are detached from everything, not only in the affect, but also in the effect, that is, they keep stripping themselves, my light keeps investing them, and they become just like crystals, such that the light of the sun finds no impediment to penetrate inside of them, unlike buildings and other material things." Then he added, They think that they strip themselves, but instead, they come to be clothed not only with spiritual things, but also with corporal ones, because my providence has a care, all particular and special, for these detached souls. My providence covers them everywhere. It happens that they have nothing, but they possess everything. After this, we withdrew from the confessor, and we found many religious people who seemed all to have their goals set on working for their interest. Passing through their midst, Jesus said, "Woe, woe to one who works for the purpose of gaining money. You have already received your recompense." May 2, 1899, How All Heaven is Veiled in the Church. This morning, Jesus aroused much compassion. He was so afflicted and in suffering that I would not dare to ask him any question. We would look at each other in silence. Every now and then he would give me a kiss, and I would kiss him, and he continued to make himself seen in this way several times. On the last time he made me see the church, telling me these exact words, "All heaven is veiled in my church." Just as in heaven one is the head, which is God, and many are the saints, of different conditions, orders and merits, so in my church, in which all heaven is veiled, one is the head, which is the Pope, and the sacrosanct Trinity is veiled even in the triple tiara that covers his head, and many are the members that depend on this head, that is, different dignities, various orders, superior and inferior, from the littlest to the greatest, they all serve to embellish my church. Each one, according to its degree, has the office entrusted to it, and by the exact fulfillment of the virtues it comes to give from itself a splendor so very fragrant to my church, that the earth and heaven are perfumed and illuminated, and the people are so drawn by this light and by this fragrance, that it is almost impossible for them not to surrender to the truth. I leave it to you, then, to consider those infected members which, instead of shedding light, cast darkness. How much torment they cause in my church. While Jesus was saying this, I saw the confessor near him. Jesus stared at him with his penetrating gaze, then he turned to me and told me, I want you to have full confidence in the confessor, even in the smallest things, so much so, that there must be no difference for you between me and him, and according to your confidence and faith in his words, so I will concur. In the very act in which Jesus was saying these words, I remembered about certain temptations of the devil which had produced a little bit of distrust in me. But Jesus, with his vigilant eye, immediately corrected me, and at that very moment I felt that distrust being removed from within my interior. May the Lord be always blessed, who has so much care for this soul, so miserable and sinful. May 6, 1899, Luisa looks for Jesus amid the angels. This morning, Jesus hardly made himself seen. I was feeling my mind so confused, that I almost could not understand the loss of Jesus, when I felt surrounded by many spirits, maybe they were angels, I cannot tell with certainty. While I was in their midst, every now and then I would investigate, who knows, I might feel at least the breath of my beloved, but as much as I did, I found nothing that would reveal the presence of my loving good. Then, all of a sudden, I felt a sweet breath coming from behind my shoulders, and immediately I cried out, Jesus, my Lord. He answered, Luisa, what do you want? Jesus, my beautiful one, come, do not remain behind my shoulders, for I cannot see you. I have been waiting for you and investigating for the whole morning. Who knows, I might see you amid these angelic spirits that surrounded my bed. But I could not, therefore I feel very tired, because I can find no rest without you. Come, for we will rest together. So Jesus placed himself near me, and sustained my head. Those spirits said, Lord, how quickly she recognized you. Not even at your voice, but at your mere breath, immediately she called you. Jesus answered them, She knows me, and I know her. She is so very dear to me, like the pupil of my eyes. And while he was saying this, I found myself in the eyes of Jesus. Who can say what I felt, being in those most pure eyes? It is impossible to manifest it with words. The very angels remained astonished. May 7, 1899, Purity of Intention in Operating. While I was doing my meditation during the day, Jesus kept making himself seen near me and told me, my person is surrounded by all the works that souls do, as by a garment, and the more purity of intention and intensity of love they have, the more splendor they give me, and I will give them more glory, so much so, that on the day of judgment I will show them to the whole world, to let the whole world know how my children have honored me, and how I honor them. Assuming a more afflicted air, he added, My daughter, what will happen to so many works, even good, done without purity of intention, out of habit and self-interest? What shame will not fall upon them on the day of judgment, in seeing so many works, good in themselves, but made rotten by their intention, such that, their very actions, instead of rendering honor to them, as they would to many others, will give them shame. In fact, I do not look at the greatness of the works, but at the intention with which they are done. Here is all my attention. Jesus kept silent for a little while, and I kept thinking about the words he had spoken to me while I was meditating within my mind, especially on the purity of intention, and on the fact that, when creatures do good, they must disappear, making the creature one with the Lord himself, as if creatures did not exist. Then Jesus continued, saying to me, "Yet it is so. See, my heart is so very large, but the door is very narrow. No one can fill the void of this heart but souls who are detached, naked and simple. In fact, as you see, since the door is small, any hindrance, even the slightest, that is, a shadow of attachment, an intention which is not upright, a work done without the purpose of pleasing me, prevents them from entering to delight in my heart. Much love of neighbor enters my heart, but it must be so united to mine as to form one single love, in such a way that one cannot be distinguished from the other. But as for the other love of neighbor which is not transformed into my love, I do not look at it as something that belongs to me.